What's up, everybody? This is JTech95. Today we're going to be taking a look at another 486 in my collection. You may remember in my first video I reviewed the 486-66. Well, today we're going to be taking a look at a machine that's very near and dear to my heart. This is the machine that I used to play on all the time when I was little, like 3-4 years old. It's this guy right here, this Basic Time 486-33. My dad purchased this machine back mid to late 90s. It had to have been mid 90s. And he used it for a long time. The 386 that I showed in a previous video was his office computer. He used it down here. Well, this machine was upstairs. This was the family computer. And this is the one I have some of the most fond memories with. It had some issues back in the day that have since been addressed in recent years, and we'll get into a little bit of the history of the machine and the repairs that had to be done to it to get it to the point it is now. So hang back and sit tight, and we're going to take a look at the 486-33 today on JTech95. Thank you for tuning in to JTech95. As I said, this was the family computer we used when I was really little. For a little bit more of the history of the machine, where it came from, who better to ask than the guy who bought it? My dad.
Yeah, okay. We found this computer in the local newspaper's classified section. That's back when we still used the classifieds.
So kind of like what
before Marketplace, or
what kids would would think of like Facebook Marketplace nowadays, or Craigslist.
Yeah, before that. It was a local reseller of used computers. He would probably go to auctions and buy used computers and then post an ad and resell them. This was he worked out of his home, so his home was just packed full of computers. There were so many computers in that house you couldn't walk through the house except on a narrow trail in the floor that went around in the front door back to the kitchen, and then there was a branch that went to the stairway going upstairs.
Jeez. Makes my collection look pretty small, huh?
Yeah, and we what else do I want to say? It always from the time we got it, it would always crash on us.
It was general protection faults, if I remember right.
Yeah, something like that. We'd be playing. I put Windows 3.11 on it, or 3.1, and it would.
I want to say it was 3.1.
Yeah, we were playing a game, and it would just crash on you, and we'd think, oh well, that's just Windows, and everybody says, yeah, that's Windows. What do you expect?
Yeah. You mentioned that it would crash when trying to play games. Well, I remember the two most common culprits were these two right here, if you remember these. Willy Wabbit and his magical books, and a game called Math Ace.
Oh yeah, yep, especially Math Ace.
I don't know if it was the way the game was built, or if it was just didn't like that machine, because I don't remember us having many problems with it with the later machine we had, that HP Vectra. It was just, when we had this, you would sneeze and the machine would crash. I mean, it would do it with most applications, but those two, especially Math Ace, it was the worst. What made you finally decide to upgrade the machine? Was it just the age, or did you just get tired of it?
I don't really remember the reason why we graded up. It was just newer, faster machines.
Yep.
You just, at that time, you were always doing that, because the capabilities of the newer machines, it always had better graphics. It was always faster. It always had more memory, more eye candy. You just, at that time,
you name it, everything was being upgraded.
Yeah, every 2 years you'd have to change just to keep up.
So before we get into the machine, I guess the last question I have is, why did you decide to keep all these machines? Not only this one, but the 386 And for a future video, your IBM 5150.
Yeah.
What made you decide to keep all these old machines when most people would have thrown them in the dumpster by the time they were out of date?
I don't know. I like old stuff, and I just couldn't see just throwing them away. So I just had a place to put them, and I just put them on the shelf and left them for future use.
Archaeology.
And then when you rediscovered them,
they got a new lease on life.
Yep.
So let's pop into the machine really quick and take a look. So inside this machine we've got a pretty basic setup. Right here we've got a Tseng ET4000X video card with 1 meg of RAM on board, a Sound Blaster 16, and a Gold Star I/O controller card. It's got 8 megs of RAM inside the machine and a 486DX-33 processor, 256K of cache on board, and pretty basic setup, an SIS 85C401 chipset. The motherboard in here is a Soyo SY020 or 020H. It had a little bit of damage when I first opened it up. The main problem I had was leaking from the Varta battery, as is quite common with these machines. I did the best I could to clean it up with the help of my buddy Mike over at Calculate Tech, and managed to get the thing cleaned up and running, and got it pretty much fixed up. Now, as for the culprit to why the machine was always locking up back in the day, it turned out to be a very simple issue. The problem lied within the cache chips. It had several bad cache memory chips, as well as a bad tag RAM chip. After doing some testing and checking, me and my buddy Mike realized this was the issue, swapped them out for some different chips, and ever since we did that, it didn't have any more problems. So that was pretty fortunate. A little late in the game, considering the computer wasn't being used regularly anymore. It would have been nice to know that back when it was in regular use, but better late than never, I suppose. Now, as for the brand here on the case, not much is really known about the company. The only thing I could find out was that it was by a company called Basic Time. They were headquartered in Milpitas, California. They incorporated on October 26th, 1989, and looks like they shut down on February 1st of 2000, which isn't a horribly long time, but you know, I guess it was as long as they lasted. But yeah, not much is really known about the company. I have a modem card somewhere in my collection that says Basic Time as well. If anybody knows anything about this company, drop a comment in the comment section, because I like to find out more about the company. According to the sticker on the back of the case that I showed earlier in the video, it looks like the case originally held a 286 motherboard running at 12 megahertz. And the guy that my dad bought it from probably upgraded it to a 486, and that's how he ended up selling it. But anyway, let's get this thing booted up, and we'll take a look at the programs installed on there and run a couple games. So let's get this thing booted up and play some games. Here we go with the boot up screen. First off, let's run some benchmarks. We'll do 3D bench first. Here we go. Not doing too bad. Got a 20.8 for a score on this thing. Not too bad, not too shabby. The Tseng 4000 cards weren't horrible. I mean, they were pretty good for the time. I had a faster video card in here at one point. It was a Speedstar 64, but it's got some issues that I need to address. I'll showcase that card in a while. It was kind of interesting how I got that one, and considering how expensive and hard to get they are, I'm pretty happy to have it in my collection. So let's take a look at, we'll do the landmark test, because just that's what we do. Not too shabby. 158.17 for the CPU, 243.42 for the FPU, and 3202 for the video. Not bad. Not too bad at all. Let's start up Dune and see how she runs on this machine. I've played it plenty of times on here, and I'm pretty impressed with how it runs. A little bit of lag on some of the larger levels, but nothing too terrible. Let's do the Shores of Hell. Now, when I had the Speedstar 64 in here, the game ran absolutely phenomenal. No lag, no nothing, which is understandable considering what a good card it was. I mean, it was an incredibly fast card. And I mean, the Tseng 4000, I'm going to be honest here, it doesn't touch the Speedstar 64. But for the most part, it works alright. I don't have any complaints about it. The nice thing about this one is it doesn't crash and act up like the Speedstar did. As I stated, there's some issues with the card that need to be addressed before I really put it into use. Like running certain things like tests with it benchmarks, the card will straight up crash. Oh jeez. I am about to croak. Get through this. Oop, I need some health. Ah, it's better. About to croak there. Can't have that in a playthrough. That's better. Let's see here. Switch here. Oh. That did something. Whoops. Didn't go back in there. I see y'all up there. Hold your horses. Y'all get a piece. There we go. There we go. Pop through here and see what guys we got going on in here. Oh, hey, you. Thought I heard you running behind me. Hey. No biting. Guess it's kind of hard to tell a demon not to bite. But yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, the game does not run bad. There we go. And I believe there's a Cacodemon up here. Yep, sure is. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Whoops. There we go. Oh, you could stop me, couldn't you? There we go. not too bad. Let's move on to another game here. This isn't exactly one of the greatest games of all time. As a matter of fact, it actually, as far as I can guess, it probably won an award for one of the worst games of all time. It's called Isle of the Dead. It's by a company called Rainmaker Software in association with Merit Software. I played this once or twice. Was not impressed. Yeah, music by Scott the Skinny Man. He's, as LGR said in a video he did, he's no competition for the Fat Man. Quick here. Let's see, we'll do... Let's see here. Oh, a pair of pliers. I could use that. Machete. Anything else I can get in here? No, over here, I suppose. A book. Oh, flare gun. Anything else in here? Nope. There we go. Let's use the machete. There we go. Yeah, this game is not good. Let's see. I remember, there we go. G, forget. Oh, shoot. Hey. Oh. That did not take long. Not gonna lie, I'm a little ashamed of myself. That was a little too easy. I mean, in all honesty, the game is not good. I installed it on this machine on a lark, thinking, maybe it's not as bad as some people say. Well, I'll put it this way, I was wrong. I mean, the gameplay is straightforward enough. You explore the island, pick up stuff, kill zombies, and try to rescue your girlfriend from the mad scientist. Which, I mean, is straightforward enough. I mean, it's not a bad plot, but the game itself was constructed so bad, it wasn't even funny. I mean, the water is literally a wall in front of you. From far back, I guess I can see what they were trying to do, but yeah, the game itself is not good. So let's get out of here and try something a little better. So let's hop into Windows and I'll show you some games I played when I was a kid. Used to play this one an awful lot. Of course, it's Scholastic's The Magic School Bus Explores the Solar System. This was a pretty fun game. It followed the TV series and the books by Scholastic. You can watch them on PBS. You know, typical Magic School Bus fashion, the kids aren't expecting that they're going to be going on a crazy field trip. Especially this one, because as far as I know, this is the first book in the series. And this was the first game as well for the Magic School Bus from Microsoft Home. You know, the kids got on the bus and they went off into space, flying along, thinking, wow, this is something else, this is really cool. But as luck would have it, Miss Frizzle decides to drive right into an asteroid field. Obviously has no permit to do this. Drops all of her coins, which makes no sense. But anyway, you're inside the bus and you get to pick from the map where in the solar system you want to go to. You got to pick any one of the 9 planets. Yes, there are 9 planets. Pluto is still a planet. And on the planets like Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, where they were gas giants, you'd land on one of their moons instead. The characters were pretty fun to listen to. You know, they had funny little quirks and little things they would say. There was also mini games in the game as well. Little arcade style games. And here you can see me sucking fairly bad at it. Oh. And there she goes. Hole in one. And Liz would come down and help the kid out, you know. And then you could try again. And then, you know, if you wanted to switch between planets, you just hop back on the bus, pick another place to go. And you would have this cool little cutscene of flying through space to whichever planet. As I said before, since the gas giants have no surface, you can't really land on them, you'd land on one of the moons instead. Here we see ourselves landing on one of the many moons of the planet Saturn. Again, cool little cutscene here. Certain parts of the game had fun little songs and things. This was not one of them.
Janice, my name. Just call me, Your Highness. I'm here to tell you about a moon called Mimas. Mimas, Your Highness! Mimas got a crater a third its own size, nothing you'd order with a side of fries. Oh, this isn't a rap. Just shush your crying, shush your fuss, cause I'm the master rapper of the Mad School Bus!
Another fun game I used to play was Gay and Wilson's The Ultimate Haunted House, another Microsoft home title. I didn't play this one as much as some of the other games I played, but I still played it a fair amount. The object of the game was you were trapped inside this haunted house, and you had to collect 13 keys before 13 o'clock while exploring the 13 rooms of the house. You see a pattern forming here? There's different rooms you could explore, like a menagerie, as you can see here. You could interact with the animals. And, you know, there's a parrot, there's a gorilla. You can see him sleeping in the cage. Why he's green, I don't know. One of the things you weren't supposed to do was feed the fish, as you could see in the sign right there in front of the aquarium. But I always did, as I'm doing right now. It's not shown here, but if you fed him enough, and depending on what you fed him, eventually he would hop out of the aquarium and turn into a shark and would later attack you in the game, which used to scare the crap out of me. Then the music room was another one of the rooms you could explore. It had this organ here that you could play with, talking chandelier that would sometimes give you helpful information. Okay, well, let's do what the chandelier says and throw something out the window. The object of this was that you would throw things out the window, and after you waited a couple minutes, something else would come back in the window. So you could kind of trade items depending on what you did or didn't need. You could play the organ, and the switches would change what kind of sound the organ made. A little bit off-putting, especially as a kid. I just remember this game. It's not that I didn't enjoy it, I did, but it was a little creepy. Even as an adult, I find the game a little off-putting. Especially one of the basement rooms, the torture chamber. You had a crusher here that you could put objects in, and you crush them, and sometimes you get a new item. Like here, crush the music box, and I got a film reel back. You could also put different items in there, and a character in the game would come and get it, and you could crush them, and they would plead with you to let them go, and they would give you an item. And that was kind of a backhanded way to get stuff, but I did that too. In the Iron Maiden here, you could put items in there, and if someone came to take it, you'd trap them in there until they gave you stuff. And this time, it apparently didn't work. Another game I used to play an awful lot was Math Ace. This is one of the two games I showed at the beginning of the video. This is one of the games that made the computer crash to no end. But now the computer works good, so now it doesn't crash anymore. I think I talked about this game in one of my previous videos. It's just, you know, a math education game. You had this game board here that was full of microchips, and you had to solve math problems in order to make a wall around the virus to trap him inside to keep him from chewing his way through. And here I am failing miserably. Then you also had a laboratory that you could use to bone up on your math skills if you weren't that good. And the questions varied based on what kind of math you were wanting to practice and how hard or easy you wanted the questions to be. And once again, I'm failing miserably. Geometry was never one of my strong suits. And this one I didn't even try. Then I got one right here. It's a pretty educational game. Played this one quite a bit as well. And yeah, well, I played it as much as I could before it would start crashing. And then the other game I played a lot when I was really little was Willy Rabbit and His Magical Books. Fun little point and click adventure game where you played with this kid named Willy Rabbit, lived in a little tree house, and you were going to go out to the playground and visit his friends, but a storm decided to brew up. His creepy cloud face.
Sorry, Willy Rabbit. I'm afraid heavy rain is about to fall.
Who later informs you that rain is about to fall, so now you can't go out and play.
I can't visit my friends today. Let's go into my treehouse.
Which opens up into the plot of the game, where you're gonna basically sit inside and read books all day. Not a horrible way to spend your time. I do it quite a bit.
Welcome to my treehouse. Let's read some of my favorite books together. I like to do most. That's right.
And you can pick different games that you want to play. Or not games, but books. I mean, each book is kind of just a point and click. You can click on the different characters, watch their little antics and things that they do. Yeah, this was a game for like 2 and 3, maybe 4-year-olds, which is about the age that I played it. And we have this little girl rabbit breaking laws of game physics. Yeah, that was a thing. And then you had okay. And you had the option of going back to the bookshelf and picking a different book to play in. I remember having a lot of fun playing this when I was really little. Some of the animations took quite a long time to get through, especially considering that this is a slower machine. And here we see Willy and his friend playing with their balls. Kid reading a book off to the side, ignoring the ball play that's going on. Oh, what the duck. So all in all, that's my little rundown of my childhood computer. Played a couple games there that I remember playing when I was young, and a couple games like Doom that I played when I was a little older. I love this machine for the nostalgia and just basically the look of the machine. Very classic, clean looking case, runs well, and it does what I want it to do. Great piece of my computer collection. I want to thank you all for watching. Comment what you thought of it in the comment section down there. Like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And hope to see you next time. Catch y'all later. Bye-bye.